The tree, the star, the gifts, the lights. These are not just about holiday cheer. These are signifying the return of the light from the darkest point of the year. The concept of Christmas was not invented by Christianity. It has a rich history and it conveys the power of the sun and the way that life on Earth responds to that cycle. For those of you who are new here to this channel, my name is Will and this is the Esoteric Cross. I make videos about how to gain your personal power while learning ancient secrets. And if that sounds like something that you're into, please hit the like button and subscribe and gain insight from this perspective in the cosmos. Every culture celebrated the rebirth of the sun long before people celebrated the birth of the Son of God. One concept that's really important to get before understanding the deeper true occult meaning of Christmas is understanding the wheel of the year. There are many occult holidays along the wheel of the year. The significance of them is about attuning to the forces of the sun, the forces of energy, and the way that life on Earth responds to the cycle of this energy. We needed this information in the past because it had to do with crops and it had to do with how we were going to survive the winter and how we were going to grow in the summer. But it's not just about this materialistic aspect of, for example, surviving winter. It has much deeper esoteric and occult roots. It's more spiritual than that. So it's really vital to take a look at when Christmas happens and the significance of the date, what is going on astrologically, and the deeper meanings within the symbolisms of the religion. The first thing that I want to take a look at are the holidays that Christmas is really modeled after, one of which is Saturnalia. This gets really interesting when we get into the topic of Saturnalia because this was a time in ancient Rome where roles were reversed. Saturnalia actually has a lot of things that are very similar to Christmas in the sense of giving gifts, and there were a lot of festivities at this time. So let's uncover a little bit about what exactly Saturnalia is. As the name suggests, it's honoring the god and the planet of Saturn. The time of Saturnalia happened somewhere between December 17th and December 23rd. So even though it's not directly on December 25th, these festivities do play out around this time. It involved this deep Saturn symbolism, celebrations, exchanging of gifts, and the practice of role reversals. So what is Saturn? Saturn was considered a god, or even getting into the idea of Titans, Saturn is Cronus. We're talking about the idea of time, but we're also talking about discipline, structure, something that is kind of like a father figure. This is the birth of form and the birth of time. Actually, on the Kabbalistic tree of life, Saturn is placed with Binah, which is the great mother of creation, which is a little bit opposite of what we typically think of when we think of Saturn. We usually think of the father, the aspect of consciousness that teaches us discipline and teaches us structure. But actually, there's some beautiful insight when you take a look at Saturn as being the great mother of creation, being that this darkness is something that can give birth to form, that can give birth to light. We get into the ideas of the relationship between dark and light, which is exactly what this time of year is all about. Right around December 21st is the winter solstice, meaning we reach our darkest night up here in the northern hemisphere. So the sun would appear to be at its lowest point in the southern hemisphere, meaning that we have our longest night, we have the most darkness here. So just as this happens, the sun is passing into the sign of Capricorn. Now, is it exactly passing into the sign of Capricorn? Well, not necessarily because of the precession of the equinoxes, but when we get into the idea of esoteric astrology, and we're getting into topics like astrotheology and astrotheurgy, we will divide the sky pretty much into 12 equal parts. If you want more information on that and exactly why we do that, take a look at my video titled No, the Zodiac is Really Not What You Think, and I'll leave that link to the top right corner of this video. So right around December 21st, not only are we passing through the winter solstice, but we are also passing into the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so this is going to be a Saturnian sign that we are entering into. So this is also why we are celebrating Saturnalia at this time. This is all about descending into darkness. Saturn is also associated with darkness. This is the place where you could say maybe you're doing some shadow work, or you are extracting the pieces from this darkness that you need to be able to rise up and overcome, which is what Capricorn is also all about. This is representing chaos before order. We don't necessarily get to order without chaos first. Nothing just comes in completely in order and in divine alignment. That's not necessarily how this universe works. We have these stages that play out over and over and over again throughout creation. You can even look at the name God, God, like an acronym: generate, order, and destruction. We can't really get to this new generation without destruction. Light and darkness represent this duality that we can at least see from our perspective that just go back and forth. And they are both really needed to be able to have a perception. So chaos and order are really relative. And if you're trying to improve something or create something, you've got to be able to get a little bit messy first. Think about it in the sense that you're going to sit here and paint. You can try to be as neat as possible, but eventually you're going to make a mess in the process of creating your painting. The same thing goes for music. If you are recording a song that you've written, you're going to have to get really messy, and it takes a really long time mixing and mastering until you have this finished product. If you're trying to build muscle and you're going to the gym and you're lifting weights, there's going to be destruction and chaos within your muscles, and this is going to have to be a repeated process over time in order for you to actually build any muscle. You are tearing the tissues within your muscle, and that building back together of them is what is actually creating the desired results. So destruction is a part of creation. Chaos is a part of generation. Chaos is a part of creating order. This is a time of year that really represents that and honors that in a lot of ways. Even think about what Christmas feels like when you're going out and you're doing your Christmas shopping and there's just like a ton of people everywhere. This is also really profitable for people who have these large businesses as well. But anyway, going back to the idea of Saturnalia, you have this role reversal. And the whole point of this role reversal is centered on the idea of chaos, things being out of order. And it also gives some sort of relief. For example, if you have the society where you have slaves and you have masters, and then the masters let the slaves pretend to be masters for a day, this is getting out anything that is within them. It's actually a mind control technique to make somebody feel a little bit more like they're in control. And with this concept of role reversals, think about the world being put upside down. That's also related to the concept of the sun being at the lowest part of the southern hemisphere. For us in the northern hemisphere, it's as if the world has turned upside down. Speaking of things turning upside down, I want you to bring your attention to this tarot card, number 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune. Take a really good look at this wheel. What does a wheel do? What's the point of a wheel? It's to be able to keep moving, but what happens to a wheel? If you look at the edges of a wheel, what do? They come up, they go down, they come back up, they go back down. It repeats this cycle over and over and over again. What comes up must go down, and what goes down must come back up. It is a role reversal upon this wheel. I want you to take a deeper look too at the symbolism that is within this wheel. We have a lot of emphasis actually on this entire card about the 4 elements. You've got the 4 fixed signs of the Zodiac at the 4 corners. You've got alchemical symbols related to the 4 elements closer to the center of the card. You've got these 4 letters, and you've got 4 Hebrew letters as well. This all still goes back to these 4 elements in the idea of masculine and feminine and light and dark. So, what exactly do the 4 elements represent? They are 4 aspects of our consciousness. They are representing our foundation, but there's something else to this. They are also related to the 4 seasons and the 4 directions. So the 4 seasons represent the wheel of the year. You've got spring, you've got this newness, this aliveness, this freshness, this coming back of the sun. You've got summer, the fullness of the sun. You've got autumn where the sun dies. It is going through this decreasing of light, which is where we celebrate Halloween, which is within the middle of that season. Right at the winter solstice is where we enter into the season of winter. This is the time period where the sun is at its lowest point, but it is slowly increasing in power as it's making its way back up to the northern hemisphere. Essentially, what this is, what we are doing when we are celebrating Christmas, is focusing on the light, which is also why we see so many lights at this time of year, the lights and the stars. This is us at our darkest point, and we are attuning ourselves to the energy of the sun and celebrating the return of light. Take a look at the festivities and the types of things that we do on Christmas. I mentioned light. We are focusing a lot on lights. We are focusing a lot on stars. We are also putting up trees in our homes, and we are decorating trees. So we've got these Christmas trees. What exactly does the tree do? What does it represent? A tree is a symbol in a lot of ways for life force energy. It doesn't really move unless you were to cut it down or you were to physically move this tree somewhere else. A tree is pretty stationary. It's not going to go anywhere. But even though it stays in this one spot, it is filled with this life force energy. It is growing. And trees also put off oxygen so that way we may breathe. We have this life force relationship energy between trees. Within Kabbalah, we have this concept or this map, which is called the Tree of Life. And the Tree of Life is like this map. It's a way to climb back up to the source of divinity. It represents how divinity creates reality. It represents how you create reality. And it represents all these little aspects of the self and how you operate. This is a really important symbol when it comes to occultism. So here's what's interesting. Each sphere along this Tree of Life is a sephira, and what that actually is an emanation. They could be considered like sapphires, like they are these brilliant lights. So really think about how when we are decorating a Christmas tree, we are putting all of these spheres, these ornaments on the tree, and we are also putting lights all around the tree, lighting up the tree. At the very top of the tree, we usually place a star or an angel. So the star at the top of the tree, much like the top of the Tree of Life, is representing Kether, the crown. This is the source of life, the source of divinity. This is the oneness of all creation, of all consciousness together. Really interesting when you think about how much in detail all of this goes. Now, another thing that we've got to talk about when it comes to the Tree of Life is this other sphere called Tiferet. Tiferet is at the very center of this Tree of Life. It represents the sun, and it represents Christ consciousness. Any being within any religion that is related to, I am the light, I am the truth, I am this savior, these are all representations of this Tiferet energy, the energy at the center of the chest. Remember, they also say, Jesus lives in your heart. And it is at the center of the cross of the body. This is your seat of power within your consciousness. It represents you in the divine spark that's within you. The sun is symbolic of consciousness, your own individual consciousness, and your link to the source of creation. It's the divine spark that's within. The sun is sacrificing itself and its own energy in order to keep the earth alive, to keep everything in balance. The sun that's within us is keeping our body moving, keeping ourselves going through life. The sun is consciousness, it's the soul. Earth is representing the body, the physical manifestations. So when we're talking about the sun and earth within any religion or tradition or symbolism that you might see out there, you're talking about consciousness and its relationship with the body. This time of year is all about the birth of the sun. It is the birth of the new life. At this point in the year, we are reaching the very bottom of this darkness as the sun is starting to return. This is representing the birth of the Son of God, which is why within Christianity we have the birth of the Son of God placed around this date on December 25th. It's actually representing this. So on December 21st, the sun reaches its lowest point in the southern hemisphere. So if you were to go outside and look at the sky each morning, about 3 days after, it would look like the sun doesn't really move. It stays at that same spot. It's actually 3 days later, so right around December 24th or 25th, that the sun actually starts to move a degree upwards again towards the northern hemisphere. And then it keeps moving up each day. So the sun reaches its lowest point and it dies for about 3 days. And then on the third day, it is resurrected. It rises again. I've got to express this when it comes to the Christ energy, when it comes to the Tiferet energy on the Tree of Life. Like I said, Tiferet represents the spark of divinity within, and us all being this oneness, we can see it reflected within each other. So if you look at Christ and the teachings of Christ, or any of these others, I am the lights and I am the truths, it is often a message of this oneness and being able to see divinity within other people, within your brothers and your sisters. So here's where we get into the idea of gifts. It's not just commercialism, but of course humanity has capitalized on this concept, but giving gifts is a way of reciprocity. It is being able to see the divine spark within others and recognize it by giving a gift or sharing time with other people. Gifts is all about the law of balance. And the symbolism of the sun in Tiferet is that The sun is always giving life. It's always sacrificing itself for life. The sun represents abundance. This is all about an exchange of energy. And this is to acknowledge the divine within another person. Actually, within tarot, this reminds me a lot of the Six of Pentacles and the Six of Cups. Tarot has this very strong relationship to Kabbalah. Actually, these cards are modeled after the Kabbalistic tree of life. So cards Ace through 10 of any suit are actually the spheres 1 through 10 of the Kabbalistic tree of life. So that means that all of the sixes are going to be related to Tiferet. So now that I've said that, really take a look at these Six of Pentacles, the Six of Cups, even the Six of Wands and the Six of Swords. Starting with the Six of Pentacles, we have this balance. You even see the scales within the depiction. And you have people who are needing money and they are opening their arms and receiving, and you have somebody of a higher class who is giving. So we have this energy of giving and receiving. It's generosity. Getting into the cups, we have another feeling of reciprocity, but in this way with the cups, it has much more to do with emotions. It's not just physical, it's not just material, but we are actually sharing this life force energy and this creative energy with others. We are seeing the divine in others and we are acknowledging it, and we are spreading this love and creation with each other. The Six of Swords is going to be a little bit more dark. The entire suit of the swords are dark because it represents the mind. But the Six of Swords is also related here to the idea of Christmas because we are in darkness. We are in these deep, scary waters and we are making our way to clearer waters. We are making our way to a better place. We are coming out of darkness and going towards the light. This represents that light will increase, and we are experiencing this rest and relief. The Six of Wands is one of my favorite cards because it represents authenticity and it's the celebration. What you're seeing is somebody embracing their Christ energy, embracing their Tiferet energy, and they are being risen up, kind of like they're on a pedestal. Even the horse is also a symbol for the sun. But you've got somebody who is rising up. Actually, all of the sixes depict somebody who is larger than other people. But you've got people who are lifting them up because they are embracing their Christ energy. They are embracing their Tiferet energy. You also see this wreath within the card, which again is another Christmas symbol. All right, so deeper meaning. Tiferet, Christ. This is this sacrificed God, the Son of God, S-U-N, the Son of God. This Son of God sacrifices himself upon the cross of the tree of life. And here's where we have this rebirth, this resurrection, and the light that is coming back. Now, I know Christmas is not necessarily about the sacrifice itself. Christmas is all about the birth of the Son in the first place. The sacrifice is much more related to Easter. So I am completely aware of that. But the whole concept of Christ and the whole concept of what the Son represents is still going back to the idea of sacrifice. You could even relate this to the sacrifice of the ego. The sun in astrology is also related to the ego. Within Christmas, we have this concept of light and dark, this battle between light and dark, and you will see that within so many different religions and traditions when it comes to a holiday that is placed right here around this time. This holiday is related to the Zodiac and the sun's power, and if you want more information on that, I highly recommend checking out my other videos titled, "The Zodiac is Not What You Think." No, the Zodiac is really not what you think. And I also have another video called Christmas is Not What You Think. Remember that this is all about the wheel of the year and how the wheel of the year pertains to you and your consciousness. How is it that you operate? And celebrating Christmas is a way of aligning the self with the sun. This is what astrotheurgy is. Now, here's what you can do. You can use the winter solstice and you can also use the time of Christmas, which also makes sense because we experience the new year afterwards where we set our goals for the new year. Really use this time to do some shadow work if you would like. Reflect on what has went right and what has went wrong this year. Really take the time to do some deep inner work. At this point, the light has decreased. So what's going to happen after December 21st, or really after December 25th, is that light will start to increase each day up until the summer solstice. And at that point, light will decrease again. So what is this representing with the cycles of the sun? Increasing of energy, increasing of abundance, and then the decreasing of energy and the decreasing of abundance. So as we move into this new year, really think about the things in your life that you want to increase. You want to increase the power of these things. So if you do any kinds of rituals right around the time of December 21st through 25th, you can focus them on the goals and increasing the energy that you would like to experience within your life. So looking at all of this in this way, it's actually kind of a cute holiday when you attune yourself to the power of the sun and just soak in these concepts while you are celebrating. This is really powerful because not only can you just know what these things represent, but you can also experience the deeper meanings of these concepts around this time of the year. I want to empower you to see these ideas, meditate on them, embrace them, and practice them throughout your holiday season. If you check out the link in the description below, I have a free gift for you. It is the Four Corners Roadmap, which talks about starting your path in ceremonial magic as well as tarot and qabalah. I also have a special going on at this time until the end of the year. It's called the Gateway Bundle, where you get both the qabalah course and the tarot course together as a bundle for a reduced price. The tarot course is very powerful because it shows you how to relate the tarot cards to the Kabbalistic tree of life, which can greatly deepen your understanding of tarot. You can check all of that out in the link in the description below, and I hope that there was something new that you were able to take away from this video. If so, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.